Hi everyone. I've had a request to do some more videos and a couple of questions to handle. So this is probably my last one for the evening, but things are really going as forecast right now. So let me just start off with kind of the good news, right? So this is Infinite Diversion right here, and they are going 8.1 knots with 13.5 miles to the finish, and they can be done, if everything stays as it could be, in about an hour and 45 minutes. They turned New Shoal Lighted Bellboy right here. That's the exit to Gray's Reef, and just started flying. And it looks to me like the winds are sort of, we'll talk about this more later, out of the west-southwest. And they're just doing great speed right now. So a lot can happen in this next sort of 9 miles to the bridge and 3 or 4 miles to the finish. But boy, that's good news. I love what these boats out here did. Serenity Fortesea or Fortesea, I don't know how to pronounce that, sorry, and joint venture. They went outside of the Fox Islands, they went outside of Beaver Island, and now, Serenity is in the lead, virtual lead, handicap lead for the section. I'm just really impressed with what they've, that was a great move, and really well done. So back here is El Mostro. Good news, they're going 13.6 knots, and that's fantastic. So let me just turn the tracks on here for a second and turn cruising off for a second, and we'll talk about what's going on here. Again, I believe the wind is out of the west-southwest. We'll talk more about that in a second. We're seeing El Mostro sort of jibe back and forth. Remember, sailboats can't go directly downwind, so we always keep the wind across us. The one thing they're going to have to consider if the winds are, in fact, out of the west-southwest is that they're going to be in the lee of Beaver Island, so the wind's going to be coming over Beaver Island, and I would not be surprised to see them kind of jibe over and get away from that a little bit and set themselves up for an approach to Gray's Reef kind of in this direction. We'll see. There's a reason I'm not a professional sailor, and maybe that's part of it. Let me talk about the turbo section for a second, because I had some questions about it on Facebook. Let me back up. So I backed up kind of the whole day here, and I'm going to go through kind of fast, one frame at a time here. When we started off sort of this morning, here's El Mostro up here. Here's WindQuest. They're not killing the section back here, but they're leading the section. And El Mostro's doing a real nice job. El Mostro's doing a really nice job. They're ahead. You think, okay, game over. They've got a lead. But then what happens, as we talked about today, is that they start getting in lighter and lighter winds as they approach the front. And you see these boats begin to catch them, right? And they catch them and catch them. And then I think what happens is WindQuest says, holy cow, those guys are going slowly. I want to get offshore where I think there might be more wind. Remember last night we talked about more wind offshore and less inshore? So WindQuest gives that a try, right? They go offshore. And watch, El Mostro does the opposite. They head inshore. A bunch of other guys back here do too. WindQuest goes offshore, and boy, they slow down. Look at the rest of the section come chugging by underneath them. Look how close El Mostro is to Sleeping Bear Dunes there. And they keep going, and WindQuest now looks like they kind of loop back. They were looking like they were going to go outside the Manitous, but instead they go inside eventually. It's going to come back in. They finally reconnect with the wind and start heading north again. But look at the gains that the rest of the section have made on them in that time. And El Mostro just kind of dukes it out. They're just staying right against the shore, probably not tacking, or I think it was tacking at that point, any much further offshore than they can see the wind, sort of. Just to keep going. Look at that, right along Grand Traverse Bay there. And then finally, they sort of, these guys are still hung up back in the Manitou Passage, but it looks like El Mostro breaks into a little bit of breeze here, and forwards to where we are. But, look at the difference compared to earlier. Hey, look, they jibed, and they're headed away from Beaver Island, like I said. Oh, how cool is that? That's good, that we're really off and running now. And I think that's really interesting to see what a little difference being a little bit offshore or a little bit onshore can make with wind or no wind and speed or no speed, in a really great battle between two boats. So I wanted to show everyone that. Second thing I wanted to show you guys, I'm going to back this up to, let's see, about 6 o'clock this morning Central Time. Okay, now I happened to measure this, and the distance across the entire fleet was about 140 miles. So it's kind of this distance all the way back to this distance right here is about 140 miles. And let me run this, and I wanted you to watch all of the boats up here, which are some cruising boats, but it's a bunch of faster boats up here too. You've got your El Mostro sort of up this way too, as you guys saw from earlier. But watch this. Watch what happens here. They just kind of get these guys slower. right? Slower. Let me speed this up a little bit more. Right? They're kind of going sideways, a whole bunch of them. And everyone just starts piling up. Now, the race is kind of designed a little bit to pile up. We start the slower boats first and the faster boats last. But by the time we get to this point, it's kind of surprising. When I measured this at the end, there's only 78 miles between sort of my conceptual front of the fleet and conceptual back of the fleet, which means the fleet compressed by that much. And that really shouldn't have happened. I mean, you think about it, the boats at the front, Il Mostro and WindQuest, should be going about twice the speed of the boats at the back here, and should be opening 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 miles every hour. 6 miles every hour on those boats in great condition. So the fleet really shouldn't have compressed quite that much. It should have opened itself up, and that shows you kind of how everyone hit a wall right here. It's also a great thing because, I mean, now what's going to happen is that the race kind of restarts a little bit. Everyone sort of lumped all back together, and now southerly winds fill in, and wow, we're off to the races again. It's like we're starting all over. So it's really a little bit of a drag race. Real fast, last thing I want to do is show you a couple of observations on the lake just so we can see what's what here. And I don't know whether any new ones have come in, but here's this is Ludington, right? South-southwest at 9, gusting to 12. That's awesome. Here's Grand Traverse Bay, which we just saw Il Mostro go by a little while ago. This one's showing a little bit light southwesterly wind. It was reading, let me just show you real quick. It was reading, look at this, west-southwest at 8, 7, 8, 9. I believe those readings a little more than I believe this 2.9 right now. And based on the way I'm seeing boats go, I think that's probably a little more realistic. This sensor's been reading, yeah, this one's been reading like 1.9, 3.9 out of the west-southwest. Again, that's really consistent with the way we're seeing the boats go. Here at the bridge, we're seeing 4.1 gusting to 5.1 out of the southwest. Now, that might be covered by the land a little bit. So not the speed I'd expect to see there. And out here in the middle of the lake, we're seeing, look, 9, 10, gusting to 12. So, you know, not incredible wind speeds, but boy, certainly nice. And we're seeing lots of boats sort of going 6 knots and really starting to move up the course for sort of a, average mid-sized boat in the race. That's fantastic. So that's about it. I hope that you enjoyed this video too. I think there's some really cool stuff going on, lots of stories here. This is probably my last video for the night, and I will be watching Facebook for another couple of hours. And I wish everyone well, and have a good night.